Good afternoon, Stampers. Thank you for stopping by today. Happy Wednesday to you. I hope your week is going well. If you have stopped by my demonstration before, thank you for stopping back again. If you have never been here, thank you so much for stopping by. I'm just going to get things set up real quick here, if you don't mind, so that I can see you. Hello, Lisa. If you're watching today, if you wouldn't mind just leaving a comment where you are watching from, that would be kind of fun to know where everyone is. I'm located in Jupiter, Florida. As most of you know, I'm actually from Michigan, but I'm living in Florida right now. So it's really hot here today. I haven't checked the temperature yet, but it's been very hot the last couple weeks. I think we're about to go into what they call fall, but it's still hot to me. So we're going to go ahead and get started. And today's three projects, I'm going to show you three projects using the Broadway Bound Designer Series paper. And this week on my Facebook page, I had a little tip, and I'll just show you again in case you missed it. These are the 12 by 12 sheet protectors, and whenever I have the designer paper, it does come in a plastic sheet, but sometimes it gets ripped. So what I like to do is get these 12 by 12 sheets, and I put the name of the designer paper along with the item number, and then I put all of the coordinating colors. Now on the back, when you get the paper, there is a little card back there on the back of the cardstock, and it will tell you all the colors, but my eyes are old, and so sometimes I have a hard time seeing, and then also sometimes I'll find some other colors that coordinate, so I'll just write them here. When I'm ready to put some different paper in here, all I need to do is take a little bit of alcohol and a cotton ball, and that will come right off of there. So that's a really good tip to have. This is the designer paper, and of course all of the papers come two-sided. And I'll just show you really quickly the papers and the sides. This one has some balloons. If you go on the back, a lot of them have the, on one side they have the gold foil mixed with other colors, and then the other sides are just some other colors mixed in there. This is lovely lipstick, lemon lime twist, and black and gray granite on this one. This is the other side. There are a few polka dots. I don't know if you can see real well, but that has some gold foil on the candles. Oops, that's the same piece. And then I think I already showed you that. The back of this one is one we're going to be using today, but I wanted to show you a little tip on this one too. This is full of gold foil numbers. And you might just want to cut out a piece of this at 4 by 5 1/4 and put it on the front of your card, and that would be great. But what if you want just one of the numbers? I have a 1-inch punch, and I have discovered that the punch fits very, very nicely over the number. So you could just go to whatever number you want and punch it out. And a lot of them are accessible all the way around, so it would be pretty easy. You could even do it with a larger punch to get a little bit more room, or a little more of the number if you want to kind of feature like 5. They were 4, they're now 5, they're going to be 6. I think would be really cute. So that is the paper that we're going to be featuring today. Let me get the projects and show you really quickly. Here are the three projects that we're going to be creating today. And one of them has no stamping at all. It has a fun thinlet that says happy birthday, and I'll show you how to create that and how to attach it very easily to your card. So let's get started. Give me just a moment. Oh, I forgot to say, the stamps that we're using, I'm featuring is the Picture Perfect Birthday. So let me grab my supplies real quick. And I'm going to put the other projects out of the way here. And I'll tell you what you're going to need, but also over on my blog, I will have this posted, and I'll also have a link on the Facebook group when I'm all done so that you can have all of the dimensions of each of the projects that we're doing. It takes me about an hour to get it uploaded to YouTube and then over on the blog. So the first thing that we have is a piece of lemon lime twist cut at 4 1/4 by 11, and we score it here at 5 1/2. We have a piece of designer paper cut at 4 by 5 1/4. We have a piece of lemon lime twist cut at 2 3/4 by 3 1/2. And a piece of white cut at 2 1/2 by 3 1/2. And then a piece of designer paper cut at 2 inches by 4 inches. To get started, we're just going to fold our card in half on the score line and use our bone folder to burnish it. And then we're going to take our piece of designer paper that we cut, put a little adhesive on the back, and put that right on there. We can also go ahead and put this piece of designer paper I'm going to put it down a little bit so when we put the other part on we can see it okay. Okay, now we need to do a little bit of stamping, so I'm going to put that aside. We're going to use one of the stamps that says happiest birthdays to you. And we're also going to use some little, I guess they're flowers. And we're going to use Lovely Lipstick ink and Memento ink. And the first, I'll show you on the stamp set. We're going to use this one here to just give us a little border like I have right here. So we're going to stamp that part first. And I'm going to try to get mine straight. It's really hard when you're, I'm a standing stamper. Whoops, mine is going to be crooked. Yours will not. I'm a standing stamper, so it's very hard for me to stamp anything when I can't see right over the top of it. Okay, I took it off camera and I re-stamped it so my card could be straight. So that's all you're going to stamp with the Lovely Lipstick. Then you're going to take your Memento ink, and that's what you should be using for your photopolymer ink or stamp sets. And I'm going to ink that up really well. And I realized that I forgot to bring my piercing mat, which I usually like to have. So I'm just going to hold that on real well and hopefully, there we go. Perfect. So happiest birthdays to you. So the next thing that I'm going to do is we have some candle embellishments. And I don't know if you saw these in the annual catalog, but they're really super cute. They're little silver and gold candles. And I'm going to use 3 of the gold ones today. All right. And these also have adhesive on the back of them already. It's really small, but I'm going to peel that off. I'm going to start with the center one because I think it's easiest to line them up. But one thing is you need to get it high enough so when you get to this T, you're going to be high enough there. So just make sure that it's secured down really well. And then I'm going to add my second one here. All right, so those all 3 are on there. Now we're going to put that onto this piece of lemon lime twist. And before we adhere that down, we're going to put a little bit of the 1/8 inch grosgrain ribbon onto the back. And so I'm going to put a little bit of adhesive on here. I may need to put a little bit more just to catch it in all directions. So I'm going to put it along the edge there. And then I'm going to cut one more piece. Oh, looks like I need a little bit more adhesive here. All right, so we're done with that. I am going to trim this edge just a little bit here. And now we're going to put a couple dimensionals on the back of that. And then we can adhere it to the front of our card. And you can decide if you want to bring it up a little bit more so some of the birthday hats show a little bit. And there you go. You can see this one I shifted a little bit to the right. This one, because of how the birthday hats were there, I shifted up just a little bit. So there's the first birthday card. And just so you know, usually I do stamp on the inside. I would put a piece of 4 by 5 1/4 in here and maybe stamp a birthday hat or a birthday horn from that stamp set. Okay, the next project is this, and as I said, this one takes no stamping at all. I'm going to show you a new product that came out in our annual catalog this year, and it is called the Multi-Purpose Adhesive Sheets. And what it does is allow you to cut something that's real small like this with a thinlet. And well, I might be pulling this out of the package here to show you. It allows you to run your thinlet through the Big Shot and your piece of paper with this, and then you can adhere the thinlet right to it without having to use any kind of adhesive. Usually I would use just a liquid glue on the back, but this saves you from getting any that would spill out the side. And this is how they come. I believe there are 10 sheets in here. They are called Multi-Purpose Adhesive Sheets. They're on page 213 in the annual catalog. So I'm just going to grab the products that I need real quick, and we'll use this in just a minute. First of all, you will need a piece of, this is gray granite. This is a new color in the annual catalog with their color revamp this year. That is cut at 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. You're going to need a piece of designer series paper from the Broadway Bound Designer Series Paper, cut at 4 by 5 1/4. A piece of basic black cut at 4 by 3 1/2. A piece of white cut at 3 3/4 by 3 1/4. A scrap of silver foil that is going to be big enough. This is the framelit here, so you're going to need it to be big enough for the framelit. This says happy birthday. And then just a few scraps of gold foil and silver glimmer paper. So I think the first thing that I want to do is go ahead and get the cutting out of the way for the Big Shot. So I'm going to show you that first. We're going to take one of these adhesive sheets and just peel up the edge a little. Now I will warn you to be very careful, because wherever you touch, the adhesive will pull off. So I'm going to just put this piece down here, and then I'm gonna let the top go. I don't want to run this through the Big Shot this big, so I'm just gonna, oops, I'm going to just cut it out real quick. Now I need to lift this piece back up and put my framelit on top of there. Okay, and then I'm going to get the Big Shot real quick. And again, you have the sticky part is facing up, your cardstock is stuck on top of that, and then your framelit is the cutting side down. And I just put this on here because sometimes this is my clear cutting plate, and you can see that it's very well loved, and sometimes this pattern will go on top of your paper, so I'm just going to leave that protective sheet on top of there and go ahead and run it through. And then I'm going to put it through a couple times just to make sure that it's cutting out very well. And then I'm also, let me look real fast and see if that looks like it cut very well. I'm going to turn it to the side. I'm going to cut this excess off. I'm going to turn it to the side, and I'm going to run it through the opposite way. So the first time I ran it through this way, now I'm going to run it through this way. Okay, that should be good. Put the big shot over here out of our way. And that should pop right out. Ooh, and it's really sticky. I gotta be careful not to put my stuff in it. And I'm going to use I looked this up before I started, and now I can't remember. It's the brush tool for framelits. These are little, I think they're little wire pieces. And you can just roll that right over, and it will pop out all the extra pieces. Oops, I must have missed up there. Okay, I'm going to set this aside. And you can use your piercing tool to just gently poke one of those holes, and it should come right out. So here's our framelit. Here's the piece that we cut out. We need a couple more pieces just so once we start making our card, we can just keep going at putting it together. We're going to take the balloon punch, and we're going to cut one of the large balloons out of the silver glimmer paper. And I'm going to cut 2 of the large balloons out of the gold foil paper. Okay, I think we're ready to start assembling. So I'm going to fold in half, and I'm going to use my bone folder to get a nice crease. I'm going to turn this piece over and put some adhesive on the back. Center it on the front of my card base. Now, next, I'm going to take my piece of Whisper White, and this is where I'm going to adhere this. Now, all you need to do is carefully pull back. And you have to be very gentle because this is a kind of a thin, fancy piece here, but just start pulling away, and that piece will come off, and you're left with the sticker. And there you go. How easy is that? Do you like this better than having to use liquid adhesive? I think it's much better. Liquid adhesive definitely would work, but I like the fact that I don't have to mess around and hope that I got every little twist and turn. I know that the whole back of this is covered with adhesive. So now I can attach this to my basic black piece that I cut out. And then I'm going to attach it here, but I'm going to kind of shift to the right a little bit because I want enough room for my balloons over here. And I'm just going to put a little extra adhesive because it is a couple layers of cardstock. And then I want to put some adhesive on the back of my gold, my gold balloons here. What do you think about no stamp card making. Do you like it? Do you don't like it? Thumbs up, thumbs down. Click the thumbs up or the thumbs down or the heart or the wow emoji and let me know what you think about that. I'm going to attach this balloon with a couple of dimensionals. And I'm sorry about the shadows. I just noticed in filming that there's some shadows. I'm trying to work with my lighting to get something a little bit better, and hopefully soon I'll perfect that. Here is the last piece to our card, a very shiny silver glimmer paper balloon up there. I think that this is a really fun card. If you don't have a happy birthday, you could always, this paper would be great for anniversary or for anything that you're celebrating. So here's my one before and the one that we just made now. All right, and for the third project, we're gonna make this fun little box here. And I have to tell you that when I'm at the store, a lot of times I don't look at things like most normal people do. I'm always looking to think, how can I put a package around that? How can I put a box around that so that I can give it to someone? A lot of you, I think I have told before that I'm always carrying in my purse in a little bag 3D kind of treats just like this so that I can give them out to, I don't know, bank tellers, cashiers. Whenever I fly, I always carry these in my purse and give them out to the airline staff, including the pilot. When he gets me wherever I'm going safely, I usually will give him a treat at the end and say thank you to him or her. And so I was at the store recently and I found this very fun treat, and I knew that I was going to be featuring this paper in this stamp set, so it was perfect. It's made by Little Debbie, and aren't they the greatest? It's probably the name, but if you open it up, look what's inside, a birthday cake. So I'll show you the box just in case you're wanting to get some for yourself, you know, to share, of course. And also to let you know that I did test these out just to make sure that they were good. I wouldn't want to recommend anything that wasn't good, and they are delicious. So we're gonna make this fun box. Let me grab the supplies. All right. So the first thing that we're going to need to do is, I'm going to give you the dimensions, but I'm going to set that aside so that I can show you this. The card, the box that's on the inside is 3 3/4 by 7 1/4. So if you start by, your cardstock is 11 inches. So if you cut it at 7 1/4, you're going to have 3 3/4 left over here. So if you cut it this way, start by cutting here on the 11-inch side at 7 1/4. You can then cut one at 3 3/4, one at 3 3/4, and then you'll have another one at 3 3/4 down here. So you get 3 of the actual boxes, this box that's on the inside here, out of one sheet of cardstock. So I'm going to put that aside because for now we just need, this piece is 3 3/4 by 7 1/4. And then we also need a piece of designer paper cut at 5 by 6. And I tried to keep this good dimensions so that you could get 4 of them out of one piece of paper. So you'll get 4 of these out of one 12 by 12 inch piece of paper and even have a little bit left over. So we're going to go ahead and score these. And this one here, the box, you're going to score on all 4 sides at 1 1/8. So I know sometimes the boards can get confusing. So for those of you who already know this, just bear with me for just a minute. There are 8 notches in between the 1 and the 2, or any inch. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7's right here. Then 8 would be the next one. So 1 1/8 is just 1 inch plus 1 notch. I'm not good at fractions, and it took me a long time. I know it's real silly. My husband does construction and he thinks that that's silly that I didn't know that, but it did take me a while to figure that out. So this piece is cut at 5 inches by 6 inches long. You want it 5 inches because your box is going to end up being 5 inches long. We're going to score that on the long side, on the 6-inch side. So once you put your paper in here, make sure it's at 6 inches and not 5. We're going to score at 1 1/4, 2 3/4, 3 7/8, which is 1 notch just before the 4, and 5 3/8. And that's it for scoring. All right, let's put this piece together first. Now when you're working with designer paper, you don't want to score really super deep, and you also don't want to fold it super deep. You want to get a good crease, but you have to be a little careful or you'll end up cracking your paper right open. Okay, so we have a nice fold. Now this needs to be, because it's a 3D box and people are going to be pulling it out and taking their treats out, I'm going to use, there are a couple different things that you can use. Right now I'm going to use the tear and tape, and I'm just going to make sure that it's all along, whoops, this outside edge. And I love it because you literally can tear it off, and there you have it. Just need to pull that off and then bring it over, and you want to make sure that you have a really good, it's really lined up well here, and the tear and tape is not very forgiving, so make sure that you have it lined up the first time. And there is the outer cover for the box, okay? And then next we're going to have this piece, which is again the 3 3/4 by 7 1/4 we scored. So we want to, I'm forgetting now which way I need to cut this. Oh my gosh, that's so silly. Okay, and then you want to cut that on this little flap right here. It just goes together a little better if you just cut a little angle out of that. And then make sure that your score line is all cut off of there. So we're going to flip it to the other side, cut up to that first score line, and then we want to cut at a little bit of an angle. That just makes our box go together a little better. All right, now we need to get in there and fold all of our score lines. Okay, so this is going to be your outer tab. These two are going to need to fold in, and this one is going to cover the side. So what I like to do is put adhesive on here. Now this time I'm going to use the liquid adhesive. And again, you could use the tear and tape just as easily. You want to make sure that it's covered on all the sides. And I'm going to do all 4 sides right now, but if it's easier for you, you can do 2 at a time. Sometimes it does get away from me and I end up getting sticky everywhere, but hopefully that's not today. So you just want to bring that outer corner up so that it matches. Do the same on this side. And then flip it over. Just make sure that the outer edges are lining up real well, okay? And then this should fit right inside of your box. Okay. And then to get it out, I usually just hold the bottom and kind of push the thumb. And then we almost forgot the most important part. Where did my cake go? Oh, here it is. We better put the cake inside. Now the cake is inside. Now we need a little piece of silver glimmer paper cut at 3 inches by 3/4 inches, and the same with the white. And then I'm going to grab the stamp that says Cue the Confetti. Because I thought that would be super cute on the birthday cake. And we're going to get our lovely lipstick ink. And when you stamp it, you're going to want to stamp just a little off from the edge, because as you can see on this one here, it's underneath the ribbon just a touch. So just bring it in just a little bit. And then we're going to cut a banner out of the end of that. Just cut up in the middle and then cut to it and cut to the center. You can also use the banner punch for this, but if you don't have it, this is a fun way to get the look of a banner without it. And I'm going to do this on the opposite side because the glimmer is going to be really hard to see. The first thing I want to do is add some ribbon, and this is the Granny Apple Green textured weave ribbon. It has a little edge of white on the edge of it. And we're just going to tie a little knot in the end. And then I like to cut the ends off kind of at an angle just to make it look pretty. And then we want to attach this piece to here. And again, you need a very strong adhesive when you're attaching to glimmer paper. So I'm going to attach with a few strips of the tear and tape. And then you just kind of want to angle it just a little bit. And then we're going to put that on with a couple of dimensionals. I think I'm going to grab 3 dimensionals. And then just tuck it underneath that ribbon. And there you go, 2 cute boxes with some birthday cakes inside. If you're new to stamping with me, I wanted to tell you how my live demonstrations work. Every week, if you make a purchase of at least $30 or more through my store, which is at stampitwithdebbie.stampinup.net, I will mail you supplies for this week's make and takes, or for this week's projects. Now, I need to let you know that that does not include any of the stamping. It only includes the products for the cards. You will need to have a stamp set that's similar in order to make the projects. So for anything such as this, I would go ahead and cut out the happy birthday for you. I'll cut out the balloons and cut out all of the cardstock and everything else. But as far as the Cue the Confetti, you would need the stamp set and the inks. I'll send you the embellishments and everything if you make a $30 purchase. You also have to use this hostess code in order to qualify. You can place an order from now until next Tuesday. When my video goes live the next Wednesday, then the new kit would be available, whatever I'm doing that next Wednesday. I hope that you loved the projects today. Real quick, here are the rest of them. And I hope that you will join me every Wednesday. I'm here live. And afterwards, if you happen to miss a week, you can always catch the video over on my YouTube channel or over on my blog at stampitwithdebbie.blogspot.com. And I appreciate you stopping by, and I hope you have an awesome rest of the week. I'll see you next Wednesday.